We're learning new updates by the minute, so be sure to keep your phone handy. We'll send those to you with push alerts. Until then, just open our app or head to wishtv.com for all of our coverage.
What is your view of that use of force during that time period?
Totally unnecessary.
Derek Chauvin used top-tier deadly force by kneeling on George Floyd's neck. That's what the head of the Minneapolis Police Department's Homicide Division testifies. Lieutenant Richard Zimmerman is one of two people to take the stand in Chauvin's trial so far today. Zimmerman's testimony brings up questions police officers have to consider before making that decision.
Camila Bernal begins our coverage as the opening week of the trial comes to a close in Minneapolis.
If your knee is on a person's neck, that can kill him.
The longest serving and most senior member of the Minneapolis Police Department says Derek Chauvin went against training during the arrest of George Floyd.
In all the years you've been working for the Minneapolis Police Department, been trained to kneel on the neck of someone who is handcuffed behind their back in a prone position?
No, I haven't.
What level of force might that be?
That would be the top tier, the deadly force.
Chauvin's knee was on Floyd's neck for more than 9 minutes.
Pulling him down to the ground, face down, and putting your knee on the neck for that amount of time is just uncalled for.
Minneapolis Police Department policy allows a police officer to use whatever means are available to him to protect himself and others, right?
Yes.
Did you see any need for Officer Chauvin to improvise by putting his knee on Mr. Floyd for 9 minutes and 29 seconds?
No, I did not.
Lieutenant Richard Zimmerman testifying officers have a duty to provide life-saving care even before paramedics arrive.
You need to provide medical care for the person that is in distress.
In Minneapolis, I'm Camila Bernal.
David Williams joins us now with a look at who will not be testifying in this trial. David, a friend of Floyd is invoking the Fifth Amendment. How does that work?
That's right. I got my hands on that court document filed in Minnesota on Wednesday. Maurice Lester Hall, through his attorney, says if called to testify, he will invoke the Fifth Amendment privileged against self-incrimination. For a deeper look inside what the Fifth Amendment means, I spoke to a Central Indiana attorney who is not connected to the trial. Ratified in 1791, the Fifth Amendment is part of the U.S. Bill of Rights.
Why it's so important, to give you a little history on this, is how it used to be is we used to get confessions from people. Sometimes they would force confessions, and they would use those confessions against them in a court proceeding. And so our founders believed it was so important that this practice not be used here in America that they incorporated in our Bill of Rights.
The amendment offers several protections.
And basically what that states is that no person can be compelled to testify against themselves. And so we see this more often in criminal proceedings where we're asking the criminal defendant we can't make that person go on the stand and testify in his own case.
In the Derek Chauvin trial, a friend of George Floyd's who is listed on the prosecutor's prospective witness list filed a notice of intent to invoke the Fifth Amendment if called to testify.
In this situation, the George Floyd case, we have a witness that's invoking the Fifth, which is a little different, but the witness can answer certain questions. But if that witness believes there's going to be questions asked of him that are incriminating, then he has the Fifth Amendment right to invoke that privilege and not testify.
Webster says the Fifth Amendment is a right that applies to all Americans. Webster says the Fifth Amendment can not only apply to testimony, but he says it can apply to other things like your actions or even unlocking your electronic device. I'll explain more on that at 6. I'm David Williams, Wish TV, wishtv.com, and follow us on Facebook.